love how Eric's got like a normal face.
Good evening and welcome back to Phire Football Radio. I'm your host, Matt McGrath, alongside Luigi Coppola. This is the 7th episode of the Phire Football Radio Show for the 2023-2024 NFL season, November 29th of 2023, heading here into Week 13 of the NFL season. We will be live on YouTube Live every Wednesday night through the remainder of the season, through the playoff weekends to the Super Bowl. And every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. to bring you latest news, rumors, and more about America's game and the league we all know and love, the NFL. What a wild, wild Week 12 it was. We were in attendance for one of the games, Luigi, as we'll get to in a second. Hopefully Zach Schmola and Eric Harkins will join us at some point later in the show, but we do have a special guest to be named later. But Mr. Luigi Coppola, what's going on, baby?
Matthew, great to be back on the show after a little hiatus for Thanksgiving. I enjoyed my Thanksgiving. I heard you enjoyed yours as well. Like you said, we got to spend time at a game this weekend. We got to go to the Tin Can in the Swamp and watch the most epic battle take place with the Giants and the Patriots. It was a good week of football. We have an even better week of football and some great football ahead of us. I'm excited to get rolling, man.
Yeah, very exciting as we're moving towards the playoff picture, kind of hoping to round out more of the playoff picture here in the next couple of weeks. A lot of teams are on bye. He's on buys here in Week 13, but still a lot of important games this week. I think there's 6 teams on buys, 13 games altogether. And yeah, it's super exciting. Last week we had 16 games for all 32 teams. This is the second to last bye week. Next week, we'll have 2 teams on buys. And then following that, we get 4 straight weeks of just some playoff football before the actual playoffs. So quite exciting. But as we always do, let's go straight into the injuries. Not as many as usual, but there are still some important ones. I'm going to jump the first one because we can get back to that, because the second one is actually pretty dire for the Dolphins. Their pass rusher, Jalen Phillips, tore his Achilles versus the Jets on Black Friday. Another MetLife turf monster kill here against Jalen Phillips. Quite unfortunate. The video, I'm sure as many people have seen, pretty similar to the Aaron Rodgers video of his Achilles just snapping up and rolling back into his calf. So quite unfortunate for him. He was having a great season with the Dolphins and a great day up to leading to that point. So, Luigi, this is going to be tough for them to overcome. This is still a really good defense so far. The last couple of weeks, this is a good team altogether with high playoff hopes in the AFC. But yeah, having a hit like this in Week 12 of the season already, two-thirds of the way through is not going to be very helpful for your depth.
Absolutely, especially being that it's your best pass rusher, Availability is the best ability in this league. It always will be. And unfortunately, Jalen Phillips went with a non-contact injury on Black Friday. Tough to watch. Crazy injury. Yeah, like you mentioned, the video is just very, very incredible how it just you just see the whole thing explode. Yeah, and for a young player who's been very, very good in this league, it's also a tough injury right off the rip, especially when you're an edge rusher. But Dolphins went out and they signed a very familiar name, Mr. Jason Pierre-Paul. They signed him to their active roster to replace, to try their best to replace Jalen Phillips as he enters the IR this week. We'll see what this Dolphins team can do. Their defense was already the lackluster part of this team, and losing your best pass rusher isn't great. Now you still have your guys like Christian Wilkins and Bradley Chubb, and then some of your great corners like Jalen Ramsey and Howard. You got Javon Holland back there with the big pick 6 at the end of the half on that Black Friday game. One of the craziest plays.
Hail Mary 6.
Oh my God, crazy. So, they still have bones of a good defense. They just need to be able to apply the pressure to the quarterback, and they should be all right if they can do that. But losing your best pass rusher doesn't help.
Yeah, not ideal. And I forgot that they signed JPP because the Saints actually signed him to their practice squad. And then 4 days later, the Dolphins decided to sign him off their practice squad to their active roster. And JPP actually on his Instagram page, I still follow him apparently. I saw it the other day when they signed him. He posted a thank you message to the Saints. And I was I was like, wasn't he just on the practice squad? So immediately I went to the comments and everyone was like, "You've only been on the Saints for 4 days. You didn't have a Hall of Fame career with the Saints." It was just kind of bizarre. But I guess, I mean, I guess it is kind of true because they gave him another chance in the league and quickly, just like that, another team used him. So we'll
Yeah,
see what he can do.
absolutely. Yeah,
He doesn't have as many fingers as Jalen Phillips, but
not quite, but he's still a veteran pass rusher.
veteran presence. That's all they need. All right. So yeah, unfortunately for Jalen Phillips, he tore his Achilles, and the Jets at the Jets on Black Friday, first back Black Friday game, which we'll get to in a little bit. But another injury, Colts running back Jonathan Taylor undergoing thumb surgery after last week's game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He hopes to return in 2 to 3 weeks, and that it seems like that's a hopeful scenario. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor obviously missed those first couple weeks of the season. He was on the PUP list the first 4 weeks, and then right in that fourth week, he decided to do a 3-year deal with the Indianapolis Colts for long term, which was kind of the discussion all offseason. Saquon took his money. Eckler didn't take anything. He just brought all of that protest up and nothing really came of it. And then Jonathan Taylor finally got a good piece of money there and has been playing well up until this week. And the Colts have been able to utilize him very well in between him and Zach Moss and after the loss of Anthony Richardson. But yeah, Luigi, for fantasy owners and the Colts, this is not ideal.
No, I am not a fantasy owner of Jonathan Taylor, but I may or may not be a fantasy owner of Zach Moss. I'm very happy in that regard. Not Zach Moss.
That is true.
No,
No,
Zach
Zach
Moss.
Moss. Yeah, the
Yeah.
backup running back.
What am I talking about? I know what I'm talking about.
You do know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, so anybody who's stashed Zach Moss over the past few weeks, with the hopes of maybe him just producing some good numbers, you are now going to reap the benefits after Mr. Taylor goes down. Jonathan Taylor, I'm glad he got his money. He deserves it. Like you said, over the past few weeks when he's been available, he's been absolutely spectacular on the field, passing, catching the ball, running the ball, doing all of the great things that he can do. Now, this is actually a very impactful injury. The Colts are right now sitting as the 7th seed in the AFC playoff picture, and they have not a hard schedule for the rest of the way. They kind of have a pretty easy one, but it's definitely important to get back your star running back to keep making this playoff push. So it's hopeful that they get him back as soon as he is ready. But we will see how that progresses, and we'll see how this Colts season progresses. Now, they've had success with Mr. Moss. He did very well his first couple of weeks without Jonathan Taylor. And we'll see how that takes place going forward. But this Colts team has been very impressive. Obviously, to lose Richardson early in the season and still continue on to have a 6-5 record. Shane Steichen's putting together a good team. Gardner Minshew's played good. Obviously, Michael Pittman, he's been very good, but this has certainly been his breakout season where he's almost over 10 targets every game with 5+ receptions every game and nears 100 yards every game. He's had a great year, and this offense could use Jonathan Taylor's help down the stretch to make the playoffs.
This Colts team has been one of the biggest surprises of this season. First-year head coach Shane Steichen, who came over from the Eagles as their offensive coordinator, obviously had a very successful season in their offense last year, made it to the Super Bowl, ended up losing to the Chiefs, but got an opportunity with this Colts team, and same as DeMeco Ryans, essentially, over there in the AFC South. 6 wins for both of them, both at 6-5 in their first years as head coaches, both young guys, and yeah, very successful and very good for them and good for Colts fans. It looks like Colts and the Texans have both kind of gotten their head coaches, at least for the near-term future. So, as other teams haven't, which we're going to get to in a little bit. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver for the Vikings, activated off IR finally. We thought 2 weeks ago he would be activated, but now he's finally being activated in that 21-day window and will practice this week. We can't confirm if he will play this week, but regardless, Vikings, once again, they're the 7th seed also, but at the 7th seed in the NFC. And not a great loss to the Bears on Monday Night Football. They dropped from 6-5 to 6-6. and it's a pretty deep playoff hunt behind them. Obviously, teams with worse records than them, but teams who haven't played as many games yet. So they kind of need Jefferson here, and especially for fantasy owners, if you were able to store him for that long. I know Liam Ford's one of them. He's a damn bastard trying to make stupid trades in our league, which we didn't allow. We vetoed immediately. But
Veto.
regardless, if he gets him back, he's not a shoo-in to make the playoffs, Liam. But as a fantasy owner with Justin Jefferson, if he's able to make the playoffs, it'd be huge, especially for Josh the Pastronaut Dobbs, who kind of struggled this week.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dobbs threw his 4 interceptions this week, which was very detrimental in their loss on Monday night. You know, it'll be great to get Jefferson back. This is the good time to get him back, like you mentioned. And Dobbs could definitely use the weapons and a reliable target rather than some of the not terrible targets he's had in Minnesota, but he could definitely use one of the top receivers in this league. That will not hurt him at all.
Typically pretty helpful. You get one of the top 3 receivers in the league back, and yeah, it should help your playoff push. Final injury, but I mean, this has been stirring for months. Will Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback of the Jets, come back? Will he be able to recover after just tearing his Achilles 79 days ago today, back in the beginning of September? And he's already on the field in a helmet.
Absolutely insane.
What is this? Who is he?
I don't, it doesn't make any sense, truthfully. First of all, the Jets have been pushed so far out of the playoff hunt that it makes little to no sense, in my opinion, for Rodgers to return this season. But he's still going to go ahead and try it out. I don't know how on earth he is doing this. Like you said, it hasn't even been a full 80 days. I don't know. He's eyeing around Christmas time to come back 3 weeks from now, but it's just insane to me that he's even eyeing a time to return.
I think 2 months ago, after like that 3 week period where he was like starting to walk, we kind of said, the question was if the Jets, I mean, the question is an if, because if the Jets were in a playoff position, would Aaron Rodgers come back? And yeah, maybe if they are shooing into the playoffs or are right there and have an ability to fight to make a 6 or a 7 seed in the playoffs. But yeah, as you said, this team's nowhere close. And with this offensive line, and for sure Rodgers will be guaranteed to play next year. What's the point?
It seems like there is no point other than the fact it's Aaron Rodgers. He loves being in front of the media and being the top of the headlines. So he will continue to push his self to the fullest till he could be at the top of those headlines, because all we're going to talk about for the next 3 weeks is, oh, how did he look today in practice, or oh wow, he's suiting up, or oh my God, Rodgers is back this year. He just wants that. That's what Aaron Rodgers is looking for, unfortunately. To be fair, he did come and promise this Jets roster and this Jets coaching staff and their ownership, the whole entire franchise, that he would be bringing them to the promised land. He brought with him Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb and a multitude of other guys to play on this team, and they've been lackluster in that regard. So maybe it's a little bit of a pride thing. Aaron Rodgers might be trying to put the team back onto his back if he can, because unfortunately he's let them go and disappointed them with his injury. I mean, not his fault at the end of the day, but he might feel responsible. So is it that he wants to be back in the media? Is it he wants to give back to the Jets? Is it a little bit of both? Is it none of the above and he just loves football and wants to be on the field? Who knows?
Probably a mix of all 3 things, but
Ah,
I think you bring up a good point, because we've talked about it throughout the history of this show, Fire Football Radio, how much Aaron Rodgers enjoys being the center of the media, and how much he enjoys trolling them, and how much he started getting into a battle over Travis Kelce being Mr. Pfizer, like just random things just to keep himself in the media. And he owned the NFL offseason for 2 straight, maybe even 3 straight now off seasons. A couple of them were, is he going to come back to Green Bay? Is he going to retire? Is Green Bay willing to pay him? They did pay him. Then they got rid of him. Then they traded him to the Jets. And then this whole offseason was the hype around him being able to play with the Jets, him with Garrett Wilson, him with Brees Hall, Alan Lazard got signed, Randall Cobb, coming from the graveyard, he got signed. And 4 snaps in didn't play. So yeah, obviously we were a little bit robbed. He definitely feels robbed. All Jets fans feel robbed, but for a Jets fan, nothing really changed between last year and this year. Ultimately, you just had 6 months of hope that got washed down the drain through 4 snaps. So if you don't want that to be washed down again, don't you just wait until he comes back next year? I don't see how he owes anything at this point to them playing, to himself playing. I think they just need to move into next year, especially if they're 4-9 by the time he comes back.
Exactly. That's the big thing is there's no point in more so it's no point in re-injuring yourself. You re-tear your Achilles or you even worse do something to the rest of the structural integrity of your leg. He might be screwed for the rest of his career, let alone this season. I mean, there's a big picture at the end of the day, and if I were the Jets, I wouldn't even let the guy play. There's no point. You're losing games. Your team is just not quite there, and you put a lot of money and a lot of effort into getting this guy here. You want him for at least another season come next year, and then probably even further than that if he could play. You want that ability to win games. They have this good defense that's young and will return next year. They're not looking to lose
They're
anybody.
not losing anybody.
Exactly. They're in a great position in terms of free agency. It doesn't make much sense to me. They think they have a lot of questions that they need to answer internally before they actually let this guy go play. But it seems like he is in charge of this Jets franchise at this moment.
Yeah, I did see a report that said Aaron Rodgers is 100% the most powerful man in the NFL at the moment. Uh, in his current career position, which Tom Brady was that up until he retired last year, and now Aaron Rodgers is that guy. So yeah, he holds all the power. And another report was that the only reason that Nathaniel Hackett still has a job and potentially even Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas still have jobs is because Aaron Rodgers has been their lifeline for the last 12 weeks of the season. Just the hope that he's going to come back and at least make them a competitive football team. And the hope that you can get a couple offensive linemen around, and he wants to come back. I mean, clearly he's trying to come back to an Achilles injury faster than anyone ever has.
I also think that's a part of it too, is that faster than anyone ever has is a
the
big
the
thing for Aaron
Rodgers-esque,
Rodgers.
baby.
He loves to be that guy. And you know what? I don't blame him. If he could pull it off, good for him. I just do not think it's worth it for the Jets. I don't think it's worth it for Aaron Rodgers, and I just don't think it's worth it for this season.
No, I agree. Scott Merrifield, Scott from D11 in the chat says plus 2,200 comeback player of the year. That's a pretty juicy line right
I
there.
didn't even think about that. Oh my God, he wants a trophy. That's what it is. He
Maybe
wants a trophy.
Oh, for this year. I
He
mean,
wants a trophy. He could get one if he is the first to return from an Achilles injury within the same season in which he tore his Achilles. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Great question. Scott Merrifield says Nate Hackett getting raked in by New York sports media. I mean, yeah, I mean he's not good. They haven't been good. And they tried Tim Boyle out this week. He was not good. But the offense, it's just terrible. B16 Buff says Hamlin has it locked up. I mean, yeah, all he needed to do was play a snap, DeMar Hamlin, to get that award.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, yeah, makes sense.
We'll see.
You never know.
All right, that was our last injury. Shall we get into some topics here? Some juicy topics, some things that we did not expect, but things that have happened. First one on the docket is Panthers head coach Frank Reich fired after a 1-10 start in his first year as head coach of the Panthers. QB coach Josh McCown was also fired. Special teams coordinator Chris Tabor will serve as their interim head coach. Luigi, we were texting about this last week, how this hot seat was hot. And I think you texted saying, wouldn't be surprised if he is fired by the end of the season. But by week 12?
Yeah, week 12. You keep going. I want to try to find the message I sent you guys.
Yeah, after 11 weeks. I mean, this is quite interesting. So, I mean, going back a little bit, the Panthers hired Frank Reich to come in, fix their franchise. A lot of the current and former Panthers players on the team last year wanted Steve Wilks, their interim head coach from last year after they fired Matt Rule, to be their head coach of the future. They did not give him the job. He goes on, and now he's Luigi's defensive coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers, doing a nice job over there so far, but didn't want him. Then there were a lot of different names in and out of this. I think Shane Steichen was in there. Jonathan Gannon was an option. I think even Wink Martindale and Mike Kafka from the Giants were
They were
options.
interviewing everybody.
Interviewing the whole onslaught. Like this was a full on. We need to find our guy. We need to get our right head coach in here. They hire Frank Reich. Honestly, at the time, I thought it was okay. I mean, a guy who was with the Colts for a while, had been around the league for a long time, and especially an offensive mind who had had success with the Colts, to come in here with a new quarterback, whoever they were going to draft, and hopefully right the ship in Carolina.
Yeah,
Didn't go that way.
it did not go that way. And the report we were mentioning earlier was on 3 days ago, which would be what, Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Panthers will give head coach Frank Reich the rest of the season and continue developing rookie quarterback Bryce Young, according to NFL Network. The organization will reevaluate Reich and his future with the team in the offseason. And my immediate response, like Matt said, was fired at the end of the season, is what I'm hearing. Unfortunately, he got fired 2 days later from that report. It's crazy, man. Frank Reich, like you mentioned, was an NFL quarterback in his own right. Longtime NFL coach. He's been around the league for quite some time, like Matt mentioned. And like he said, I like the hire. We all like the hire. But funny enough, the Carolina Panthers owner also happens to own a U.S. soccer team. Of those two franchises, he has fired 4 head coaches in the last 18 months, being that it's Matt Rule, Frank Reich, and the 2 soccer coaches. This could be a general issue. Now, I've been seeing a lot flying around. Think about all these Panthers legends. It's not a long-term franchise. They've only been around since the last expansion
team,
of
right?
the late 90s. Exactly. Mm-hmm. They've had guys like Julius Peppers. They've had guys like Christian McCaffrey, Thomas Davis, Luke Kuechly. They've had a lot of guys who have moved on in their direct prime. Cam Newton, not so much his direct prime.
No, he kind of fizzled out.
Exactly. But they have Greg Olsen is another good example. You have guys who are in their prime who deserved and were rightfully in the direct line of receiving a ton of money after big seasons, and you let them all walk. So this certainly begs the question of, is this a franchise issue rather than just a year in, year out issue? And it might just be. I mean, you're firing 4 coaches. You're not signing your stars to long-term deals. It just might be a culture issue right now in Carolina, and that's what it seems like. And for Frank Reich to have a 1-10 start, yes, he obviously did not coach all that well, but he wasn't working with all that much to start with. I don't know in this current market, unless you go get Ben Johnson, who's the only guy that I personally vouch for of the coaching hires in the near future. It's a tough look. I weirdly feel like an Eric Bieniemy might be stepping in here. I've been vouching for him to get hired multiple times, but he is a risky coach when you're throwing the ball 50 times a game almost always, when he goes from Patrick Mahomes to now Sam Howell. So it's a risk to hire him, but I think there is a big issue in Carolina that is not just head coach or player related, and I think that it needs to be looked at and assessed. Unfortunately, he owns the team, so he gets to make all of the decisions at the end of the day. So unfortunately, I think we're going to get a lot of the same from the Panthers over the next few years, and I do feel very bad for Bryce Young, who I think is a very talented young quarterback in this league. Obviously, the number 1 pick from last season.
100%. Yeah, this is definitely a franchise issue. Dave Tepper, their owner, is just terrible. I saw a couple of things where it was like Dan Snyder, the former owner of the Washington Commanders, passed his legacy on to Dave Tepper. Maybe not the sexual assault allegations. We haven't heard those yet from the Carolina Panthers, but the way that this is going and the decisions that he makes have not been great. And yeah, I don't think Frank Reich did a great job coaching, but I don't think he also didn't. I also don't think he deserved to get fired at this point during the season. I mean, Luigi, we looked at this team when we were doing our preseason rankings for the account and everything in the radio show, and we looked at this offense and we said, this offense is terrible. Like, they have no weapons. They have Miles Sanders, who no one really wanted. He was on the Super Bowl making Eagles team last year, and then nobody really wanted him free agency. They were able to sign Adam Thielen, which, yeah, good veteran pickup for Bryce Young to kind of get eased into. But if he doesn't have an offensive line anyways, and if he doesn't have really any true number ones, they traded Christian McCaffrey last season. They got fleeced by the Bears and gave up DJ Moore and
That was a
traded,
name I didn't even mention
yeah, like another guy, another,
in his
number one
prime.
wide receiver who they just got rid of. Yeah, they've done a really bad job of keeping talent and signing the right talent and talent long term, because they actually have drafted pretty well. They've drafted a lot of talent and they just don't keep it.
Yeah, it's been a damn shame. I feel bad for Kurt Zarba and the rest of the Panthers fans out there. It's a tough sled right now, and you just hope
Kurt
that they
Zarba.
could bring in. Yeah, you like that one.
Yes.
Hoping we could bring in the right guy this coming off season to start steering the ship in the right direction, because it needs to happen. I really thought Frank Reich would be that guy, man. I don't know. I do not know. I like firing Josh McCown. I think Josh McCown's an idiot. Great long term backup, but I don't think he should be a coach of anyone except maybe like his children.
Well, the crazy thing is that he was getting head coaching looks from like the Texans last year before they were hiring him, and he hadn't even really coached, and everyone was like, "Why? He wasn't very good in the league."
No, he's a smart guy, but he was terrible playing football, and he's clearly not been helpful to Bryce Young's production either.
Yeah. And
So
it'll be interesting. I know this is not really Bryce Young's fault, but obviously the way that CJ Stroud has been playing and the Panthers having the number one pick, it's hard to say if CJ Stroud would be any better in this offense, because probably not, because this offense doesn't have anything really to work with. But it seemed like Frank Reich wanted CJ Stroud and wasn't able to get him. And because Dave Tepper, their owner, said, screw it, we're going to take Bryce Young, which, I mean, either one, I think Bryce Young still has an opportunity to have a good career, but CJ Stroud obviously has been the better of the two throughout this whole season. All right, let's go to the chat here real quick. B16 Buff says it's definitely a franchise issue. Yes, B16, we agree with you. Scott Merrifield says joining the Green Moon for final makeup. Scott from D11 will be our special guest that I did not mention earlier on. At 7:30, it's 7:29, so in a couple minutes he should be joining us. Exciting, very exciting to get Scott back in here in week 13. B16 Buff, never forget they gave up a second, fourth, and sixth for Sam Darnold. You know what, B16, I did forget that, and I'm sad and sorry for you that I forgot about that, because that is just an entirely horrible trade. And he's not even on the team anymore. The legend is on as a backup for the 49ers and beat out Trey Lance. And they gave up second, fourth, and a sixth round pick for him. I totally forgot about that. So
that's
nice
another
job,
one.
B16.
Yeah, that's another one.
Rob Shippers is in the chat. Hello, Rob. He says, "Hey, us Eagles would take him back as OC." Yeah, I mean, he was OC during that Super Bowl back then, before the run with the Colts. I mean, their offensive coordinator hasn't been amazing, but we'll see. We'll see after the season where Frank Reich goes. I'm sure he'll pick up a job somewhere in the league. But for the Panthers fans, I'm sorry, Kurt Zarba. I'm sorry. It's been rough, man, and it's not going to get much better, I don't think, anytime soon, unless they find a guy like Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Lions, or some sort of young offensive-minded or culture guy that they can bring in there to fix this franchise. Because Dave Tepper is just flushing it down the drain.
Oh yeah, he's throwing it out the window. It's really sad. It's really sad. And you can't do anything about an owner unless you Dan Snyder this guy. And Dan Snyder kind of did it to himself with the allegations, like you mentioned. It's not going to just be a bad fan base that's going to kick you out, because we've seen Oakland try to kick out their owner, and clearly that's not working either. I'm talking the Athletics, obviously, not the Raiders. It's tough, man. I don't know. Rob, I get why you'd want him back as OC. You might lose your OC or your DC this year. Once again, welcome to being a 49ers-esque franchise where you just lose an offensive and defensive coordinator year in and year out. Hey, I think mine are going to stick around. Obviously, Shanahan's not going anywhere, and
Yeah.
I don't think Steve Wilkes will get another head coaching look. So I think that we might have our coordinators of the future locked in right here. But I'm talking about the 49ers now. I don't know, man. Tough situation for the Panthers. Tougher situation for Bryce Young, who's just a natural winner, has always won, and it's not easy to lose. No one likes to lose.
Yeah, no one does, and especially being 1-10, pretty upsetting. All right, let's move on. Scott from D11, as I mentioned, will be joining us pretty soon here. We're waiting for him to get in the green room and get his makeup on before he comes on to the show. But Luigi, we went to a game this past weekend, which we're definitely going to talk about with Scott.
We did.
But
We should, yeah, we'll wait for Scott. We
yeah,
have
let's wait
plenty of
for
other
Scott.
good ball to talk about.
Let's talk about Thanksgiving before we get to Eagles Bills.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving Packers first game versus the Lions at 12:30. Beautiful day of Thanksgiving. Lions got stunned by the Packers 29-22. The Lions are 0 for 5 on fourth down. That's been their bread and butter going forward on fourth down and being successful. Jared Goff had a couple turnovers in that game, and yeah, stunning.
Yeah,
Stunning.
absolutely. Jordan Love played a heck of a game, 265 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, no turnovers.
He was good.
One of his best, if not his best game of his young career so far. The Packers are they're spicy, man. They're a spicy team with a I'm going to say it, a great future. They have bones of a really good future franchise. Obviously, Carl Brooks had a huge game, the interior defensive lineman. He is a rookie. And Rashawn Gary, who they just signed to a mega contract earlier this season, had a big game as well. And they still have some great talent on defense. But then on the offensive side of the ball, obviously Jordan Love's balling out. And he's got 3 young receivers who all played a really good game. And Reed, Christian Watson, who had his best game of the season, and Romeo Dobbs, who caught a touchdown pass as well. Jaden Reed, I should say, out of Michigan State. They balled out, those guys. And it's Luke Musgrave too is another pass catcher there. Their tight end they just drafted this year. They're kind of looking scary for the future if you really think about it. If they shape up, and this game might have been a foreshadowing of the future that the Packers could have, and it very weirdly similar to when Mr. Rogers kicked off with Mr. Jennings way back in the day, and Jordy Nelson when they first started balling out together. You had this young receiver core with Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson and Greg Jennings, and you had this young star in Rogers and a good defense, and they went on to win a Super Bowl very quickly after Rogers took over as the starter. I don't know, man. Packers might be doing it right. They might know what's going on. It was a great win. I think this, like I've been mentioning, I think this could be a turning point in their young franchise as they start to kick back up to try to be a winning franchise again. And that's how big I do think this win was. Obviously, the Lions have now lost 7 straight on Thanksgiving. So maybe it's just their kryptonite and maybe I'm looking into it too much. But hey, I don't know. Very promising win from this franchise, even though they're now 5-6 and kind of looking outside in on the playoff picture. But it's still possible for them.
No, it's a good outlook because this looked like the Lions' season to finally take back what they deserved in the NFC North. And obviously they have. They're 8-3. They already beat the Packers earlier on the road in Lambeau this season. But the Packers, the Lions were coming at home on Thanksgiving. This is going to be homecoming. They were finally going to break the streak. All 4 of us took the Lions, and an impressive win from the Packers. As you said, for the future, they already have the head coach. They have a lot of good weapons on offense. And Jordan Love, yes, hasn't been great at all times, but he's been good enough and is showing a lot of good flashes from himself in his 4th season, obviously, but his rookie season as a first-year starter. So, yeah, it looks like for Packers fans, you're excited about what you have. You moved from Brett Favre to Rodgers, and then now you're potentially moving from Rodgers to Jordan Love as your franchise quarterback. So, yeah, exciting things if you're a Packers fan. And obviously they're 5-6, so not the best season that they've ever had nearly, but for what you thought it might be, it started off a lot worse, and they're 1 spot out of a playoff contention spot where they play the Vikings, who are in the 7th seed in a couple weeks here. So very exciting for the Packers. All right, let's get in Scott from D11. He's been in the green room for a couple minutes now. Scott from D11 hasn't been with back. Oh, look at the sunset for Mr. D11. Scott is in the waiting room. He's coming on. Hello, Scott.
Scott.
God. Yes, sir.
Oh yes, Scott. Welcome
Hey,
in.
whoever said I was one not to bend the knee?
Scott, you
And
hopped
notice
down on that knee quick right
and
there.
notice that the faces of the guilty are not shown here. There we go. Okay.
I
And
do, just for the record, I may or may not own a brown jacket.
yes, doctor, whatever you say. And let me just say this that Zach's wonderful lady friend here. She and Zach had quite the racket because she's making good cookies and Zach's studying to be a dentist. Have another cookie.
Oh, excellent, Scott.
Awesome.
And by the way, Zach, she and I shared whipped cream together. So yeah, that's all I'm saying. Okay. So the weather
Scott,
was
good to have you
good.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, great to have you back, Scott.
Weather was good. So the second half, then just peed on down. And then, I'm sitting next to Juan, and Juan's texting with Layla. Is that going to do Leslie in Spanish? We'll call her Layla. I don't know. Layla said, Scott said it wasn't going to rain until 4:00. Scott was wrong. The text that came back. Scott was wrong.
Yeah, it did start raining a little bit earlier than we anticipated, but at least for us, we were so far up in the 300 level section that we actually had the lights covering us, so we were pretty good.
That's usually what happens in 311, but I don't know. They said though, whoever was up there said they were relatively dry.
Yeah, they liked the seats too.
Well,
They're good seats.
Juan may be up there on New Year's Eve.
Because, there's a lot of family.
Uncle Jaime and family are coming to town. So
yeah,
it'll be Juan's first time in the skybox.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, there won't be any moths, so Craig can't show him how to eat a moth if he's up there. Luigi, you brought up Oakland before. We're now going to have the Oakland Bees, the Ballers, minor league team, going into that stadium.
Did you see that? I didn't see that. No.
Yeah, the Oakland Ballers, the Oakland Bees.
That's good. At least somebody will be using it.
That stadium sucks, man. I was there in 1990 and it was falling down then. I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, Oakland Alameda Coliseum. Oof, bad news. Bad news. All right. Oh, hat. Talk about hat. So
what do we got there? I see the U.S.
ski team. Yeah. So Michaela Schifrin won her 90th race overall this Sunday. Mm-hmm. We actually watched run one from D11. Juan had the whole hot zone set up there. So she won her 6 out of 7 slalom at Killington, her 90th overall World Cup race, and things are right with the world.
Yeah, she's great. And she's a dominant legend of the ski world.
Absolutely. She's not Lindsey Vonn.
I don't know, Scott.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
No. She's the rat's ass. All right. I wish Hark was on here to talk about the NCAA playoffs.
I know.
So I saw a listing today of if we had the 12-team seed this year, what it would look like. Dynamite.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be awesome next year.
Would have been dynamite.
I'm excited for it.
Marvin Harrison Jr., any chance for the Heisman?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
Not after
the last 2 weeks, kind of
yeah,
a little bit.
I mean, he hasn't been playing as good the past 2 weeks, but I think it's more so Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and Penix have all had stellar past 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Let's stay. Let's see. Well, you're talking about Aaron Rodgers. So I'm actually going to be up in Florham Park Monday to have my hand looked at again. And I am right there on One Jets Drive. So I will create, my media Phire football pass, and I will infiltrate One Jets Drive.
Yes.
And I'll get the skinny on this.
Please do.
He's like really doing something.
We need to know what's going on there.
All right. I'll get in the building.
You think he's coming back, Scott?
It's stupid. It's ridiculous.
What's
the point?
Yeah, that's what we were saying.
Who brought it up? Was it Cam Newton? Cam somebody who came back early and got in this first quarter got racked from an ACL.
Oh, Cam Akers.
Cam Akers, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, okay, that didn't work out for you so much.
No.
No, and if they're not in a position to win, like he's a $60 million man. What are you doing?
Right. And why would you put if Danny Dimes is ready, you're not putting him back in. We got Tommy Soprano going here. So were you guys there when they introduced the offense and they played the theme of the Sopranos when he came in?
No, but I did see the video.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they played the theme of Sopranos. It was awesome.
Yes.
His interviews are awesome. They're like,
and now he's taking pictures of Jersey Mike's with guys getting subs.
I saw that too today. He was doing a signing at a Jersey Mike's.
Jersey Mike's. Yeah. What do you got? I'll sign anything.
Jersey legend, baby.
Oh boy. And Tiki apparently is a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame.
He is.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. Is the fan gonna have a Hall of Famer? Another one.
I can't say. I'm not Team Tiki after when he left and opened his mouth. He was
the whole
first
Eli
one
thing.
He was one of the first to open his mouth after leaving. It's like, we don't do that. Sorry, man.
Eli that was like Eli's growing the chest hair a little bit after that happened. The media kind of hounded him after Tiki had those comments and said that he wasn't really a great quarterback after playing with him. And what Eli said was, I'm glad that Tiki has made a nice transition to the media world and completely put it to bed. And that was kind of the beginning of Eli's comedic era.
But Tiki's best 5 productive years were his last 5 productive years. If you care, his first 5 is his second 5.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at like Ladinius Thomason and Bettis, they went down their last 5. Tiki went up his last 5 in production. So I don't know. I've never been a huge Tiki fan. Good for him.
Understandably, I don't think he's getting in.
Well,
not this year, at least.
But what a lot of people said, if you're, a first-time semifinalist, it can take 2 or 3 years, and then if you don't get it, then you go to like the other guys list, the old guys list.
Yeah, the old guys
10
list.
years later.
Yeah,
the senior, whatever the hell they call that,
like a veterans committee or something like that.
Yes, that's it. Maybe it's but this other guys, capital M, small c, capital C, like sign this kid up right now. He's just like out of his tits, this guy, McCaffrey. I don't know what the hell's going on there. That's at you, Luigi. Tell us about this McCaffrey kid.
You could speak endlessly to how amazing he is. You could speak endlessly to how good this dude is at football. He's incredible.
He can cast, he can patch, he can block.
He is really just everything we needed and more. He scores every single game. He just
not once, but twice.
Oh, yeah, not once, but twice. I mean, his 2+ touchdown bet is almost as good as his 1+ touchdown bet. As of late, he's stellar. It's just having this guy on offense that is a complete gadget all over the field, and then having all the other weapons on top of it. It's been fantastic to just be able to watch him play for my team.
I believe it.
Yeah, Scott, the crazy thing is that now thinking back to it, the only 49ers game that Luigi and I have watched in person together this year, Christian McCaffrey did not score. So for Luigi's sake, we're not going to be watching them together anymore.
No, watch more games.
We're
Eat
done.
more chicken. Watch more games. All right, we talked about that. Since we don't have the other boys, there's no hockey. I'm not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about men's basketball. You took one of my point guards. We talked about that on Sunday.
Big game Friday, though, Scott.
Huge.
What
9 o'clock, Kansas hosting UConn.
Ooh, where is it?
It's at Kansas.
Allen Fieldhouse.
Allen Fieldhouse.
Hey, well, Kansas, hey, you know what? You knock them off twice in 1 week because Marquette beat them over the weekend. So
I sure hope so.
Big East, Big 12 battle.
All right. You say Friday at 9. All right.
Friday at 9.
I can be watching that. All right. Before we get into the midseason stats of Willie, since we don't have our official note keeper here.
Well, we did have the mid. Hold on. You start talking. I'll try to pull it up here.
All right. Well, let's do studs and duds first.
Okay.
All right.
My studs, CJ Stroud. Yeah, come on.
Good stud.
He's going to be offensive rookie of the year at this point, probably.
I would say so.
Yeah, it's pretty clear at this point.
Yeah. And then I gotta love Mike Kayvon. Everyone's talking crap about him, but he's got 11 sacks, he's got 5 games to go, and he's like defensing everything in his face. He's getting double and triple team, and he's still getting there to the ball, to the passer.
Luigi believes. Luigi believes
I
in Kayvon.
I was
He came
telling Matt.
around.
I was talking to Matt. Listen, I always liked Thibodeau. I thought he was your clear pick 2 years ago now. I
Took him
thought
to 5, baby. Took him to 5.
I thought he was the clear guy to go. 100%. I thought he was the best available and the best pick you guys could have made at that time. And I still do think that way. He's been balling out. Like you mentioned, the 11 sacks, he's already at double digits. He joined some good company of TJ Watt and Micah Parsons over the last 10 years of guys to hit 10 plus sacks in their first 11 weeks in their first 2 seasons. I know,
Something like
stupid ESPN stat, but still a telling stat of just how good he's been. And you know what? The defense has been up and down for the Giants, but they've been going as far as Thibodeau's going because you guys have been playing good every time he's playing good. So clearly he's an effective pass rusher. Clearly he affects your team and your defense. You guys got a good guy to be around.
Yeah, and number 58, Bobby Akero is back a little bit. Sexy Dexy was back in there. He got a sack. We got to see a little sexy dance the other
He
day.
didn't play on Sunday, Scott.
He didn't play.
Oh, you're right. He didn't. You're
we
right.
didn't see
You're right.
Dexy.
Before.
But Okereke
played, baby.
Okereke was all over the place, man. So the Giants have what now? 11 turnovers in 3 games. 6, no, more than that. 6, 5, 14. 6, 5, and 3.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't played the best offenses, but it's still pretty impressive to force that many turnovers.
Still taking the ball away.
Yeah.
So those are my studs. Who are your studs?
Luigi, do you want to go first?
Studs this season. Well,
and it can be a group, it can be a defense or an offense or
yeah. No, CJ Stroud, I'm thinking CJ Stroud's a good one, Thibodeau's a good one. Aiden Hutchinson, obviously another second-year pass rusher. He's been absolutely stellar, and he just like Thibodeau, his defense goes as far as he goes. He's another guy I really like, obviously the reigning defensive rookie of the year. And then I'll throw in, you know what? I'll do it. It's bias. It's complete bias, but I think it's valid, is Brock Purdy. He obviously had the huge stretch of games to end the year last year where he was stellar and everyone was like, all right, well, this is just a great team with great weapons, and he stepped in at the right time in the right place. And though I do agree with that, that's true. He does have great weapons. He did step in at the right time in the right place. I do think he's a stellar quarterback. I think he's a quarterback that'll stick around for a long time in this league. He's accurate. He does well in the pocket. He's very patient, makes good decisions. He doesn't make errant throws. He is keeping the ball in his hands and on his team's hands. And yeah, you know what? He is a great game manager, and that might be his best trait as a quarterback.
I was just going to say that he's a great game manager for someone his age and his maturity to do
exactly.
Do the things he does.
People slander guys for being great game managers just because they're put into a system. Like they say it about Tua, they say it about Purdy. I've heard it about Jalen Hurts as well, which I think is absolutely not warranted. But he's been great. And he's proved this year that he belongs in the top 10 quarterback conversation.
What's he making? 450, 475?
Yeah, he's making less than $500,000 a year.
He's making league minimum.
By long and by far the cheapest starting quarterback in the NFL, which is why we have Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon.
So the rookie contract, is it 3 years or 3+1? What's a rookie contract?
4 years is a rookie contract with first round rookie contracts being 4 years with a fifth year option.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's got another year.
He's got another 2 years on that money, but I mean, if he continues the way this year and continues this into next year, it's likely that in that third year at the end of the season, he'll get a big contract.
He'll be pushing for one for sure.
Exactly.
He'll be pushing.
He'll be deserving.
He'll be pushing 40. He'll be pushing 40. That's a hell of a raise.
Yeah, he'll quite the big raise.
He'll probably add at least 2 zeros to the back end of what he's making now.
Yeah, college quarterbacks are making more money than Brock Purdy is.
What,
They
Matt
are.
Rule?
It's
You
crazy.
see what Matt Rule said today?
I did see that.
Matt Rule was like, he came out and said a good transfer portal quarterback costs $1.5 to $2.5 million right now. That's absurd.
Because they have to cover the NIL, or
the NIL money that they can pull for.
How
now.
crazy is that?
Shit, that means Livy Dunn is worth a whole lot of money.
Yeah, she is, Scott. All right, quickly, Scott.
OF. All right, Matthew,
hold on. I'll give my studs before we move on to your other stuff. One stud, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has been great this year. Lamar Jackson is still my MVP this year. Very exciting. He was my preseason MVP as well. It's been very exciting for me, and he's carried this good Ravens team, and now he's going to have to carry it even more with the injury to Mark Andrews, their tight end. And they're on the bye this week, which will be helpful. But yeah, complete turnaround for what their offense used to be last year. Zay Flowers has been a stud on that offense. Yeah. He's been great for them. Chargers are probably kicking themselves that they drafted Quentin Johnson and not Zay Flowers. So that's one stud. Who was my other stud? I had another stud in here. I'm going to give you my dud first. One of my duds
go for the duds
is the LA Chargers. The LA Chargers have been quite a dud as an entire franchise. They need to fire Brian Staley, and they are going to fire him because a report came out saying that Brandon Staley will be fired, barring a miracle that they run the table and make the playoffs, which will not happen because they're in the AFC West and the AFC. But yeah, just so disappointing with such a great roster, and they haven't drafted very well. With obviously last year drafting Quentin Johnson, and they have not played well with a good offense.
All right. I have an organizational dud as well.
Okay.
And, Hark will be very happy to hear this. The New England Patriots. Just as complete.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, and now
they're tanking. They're doing it right. They're doing the right tank.
To Arkansas now because they just picked up, surprisingly, what's his name?
Petrino.
Thank you very much. Yep. Well, what swung that deal was the golf course membership. So the country club membership. So that swung that deal right into the nine hole. Yeah, so they're definitely mine. My other duds is officiating, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, the officiating has not been good. Not very good at all, especially in that Eagles-Bills game. B16 Buff could definitely say that it has not been good. He was texting us all the time. He's a Bills fan during that game. Obviously, we were driving back, Luigi and I, so we couldn't text back, but he was furious with the officials, rightfully so. It was lopsided. They have not been good this year. And what I'm realizing, Scott, is that a lot of the head officials have not been officials for very long. Like, how in the beginning of the game, they introduced officials. It's their first call of the game. Here's blah, blah, blah. And in their tagline, it'll say how long they've been an official in the NFL.
10-year, 12-year, 15-year.
That's what it used to be. And now it's like 6 years, 9 years, maybe a little over 10 years. Like, there's no Ed Hockley's who were NFL referees for 18, years at that point before he became a head referee. So it's been bad. The NFL has a lot to look at this offseason in terms of officiating.
All right, Luigi, dud. Not that you're a dud. maybe a milk dud. Everything's so happy for him. Look at this.
He can't think of anything bad.
There's nothing wrong.
Oh, there's plenty of bad. You guys just both took really good ones. Trying to think of a single player that I could really call out as a dud. There's plenty of those.
It's hard to think of. Zach Wilson?
Nah, he sucked anyways.
He's a victim of his circumstances, I think.
I agree, and I also think he stinks just in general.
Yes.
And Mac Jones would be just piggybacking off of one of you guys. He's going to literally be getting a brand new job in the next 2 years.
Selling cars?
Is Jimmy G
maybe
done?
Selling cars.
Jimmy G.
You know what's funny is no one even talks about Jimmy G anymore because you're absolutely right. And thank you for giving me my dud. Jimmy G is an absolute dud. The guy The guy
I
he
would have thought you might have
proved.
said Trey Lance could have been in there for you. I don't know.
Oh.
Well, no, you're
All
like
right, let's just say 49ers quarterback's not named Brock Purdy, I guess is the fair
Have been
dud on
duds.
this one. They have just absolutely faded off into the distance in both their own ways. I'll take that as my dud. I'll take that as my dud.
Yeah, I mean, he signed a 3-year deal and then played what 6 or 7 games and then got benched.
Yep, he's
And
terrible.
obviously, maybe another organizational issue. They can't find a head coach over there in Las Vegas, but he wasn't very good either. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Yep.
Scott, what else you got?
That's what I got other than the stats.
Okay.
Because I got my list, but I have no research, so I have no idea where we stand and what's going on.
All right. So stats. Well, at least with passing yards,
Yeah.
all of us were around 5,000 yards. Let's look up the NFL player stats here real quick for Scott.
I had 53-33.
53-33. Yes, you did. Sam Howell is at 3,339.
After how many games?
2,000 yards in 6 games.
Now we got to do a bunch of math. See, this is why I hope Park had this all
So
broken out.
303 yards per game for Sam Howell. If he continues at that rate over the next 6 games, he will be at 5,160 yards.
Where's that put us?
That would put me as the closest at 5,120.
All right. Game on. Game still on. I'm good.
All
I'm at
right.
5
Game
3.
still on with the
All
passing.
right. We're still around. Did you expect it to be Sam Howell, Scott?
No.
Yeah, no, neither did we. Absolutely not. No one thought that.
Rushing.
Well, the Giants held him in. The Giants kind of held him in check.
Yeah, he still threw for a lot of yards.
He throws for a lot of yards because
he threw for a lot of yards and 4 interceptions in that game.
Exactly.
So
well, we said it earlier in the show how Eric Bieniemy just enjoys passing. So
just
they
throwing
just pass.
the ball. Air it out.
Yeah. So it doesn't
Which
matter
is
how
odd
many
as a
turnovers
big
they
old running ball to running back at Colorado. But anyway.
Indeed. All right, rushing yards. Scott, you had 1621. Christian McCaffrey is currently at 939. So with 6 games to go.
So with 6 games to go, he's at 85 rushing yards a game. If you multiply that by 6, he'll get to 512 more, and then you add that to his 960.
Oh, short. Or he's short.
3?
I'm wrong.
What'd you say?
963.
14.
Gives you 1475.
1470. It's still short. And I win that again because I have the lowest amount at 1590.
I went to 2,000, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
No, you did 1650. You were a little conservative.
No, your receiving yards were over the moon,
which is good because Tyreek Hill's about to hit it. So
all right,
let's go to receiving.
Yeah, let's go to receiving. Luigi had 2013 yards. Let's see who's number 1 in yards.
Tyreek is number 1.
Tyreek is number 1 at 1324 with 6 games to go.
So 1324 over 11 games gives you 120 per game. Multiply that by 6, you're at 722. And if you add that to 1324, we're at 2,046 receiving yards, Scott. We're right at my number, baby.
Scott went with the U.S. take of 1776. That was very American view, Scott.
Damn, on the receiving yards. All right, tackles.
Scott, you had 183 and a half tackles. Currently, it's at 127 combined.
Ooh.
TJ Edwards at 127 through 11 games.
Gives you 11 and a half per game. 69 for the next 6 games.
Ouch.
And if you add that to the, 117 you said?
197.
127.
That'll give you 196 tackles there, Scott.
And Zach Smola wins at 195.
Ooh, he's the closest to the pace. But Scott, something tells me you might luck out on that one.
I know, I might. I need one. I haven't won one yet. Sacks.
Yeah, sacks was where I was going next. Daniel Hunter has 13 and a half with 6 games to go.
He's played 12 games though. But I could tell you that Myles Garrett also has 13 and a half sacks and has only played 11 games. We'll call him the leader at this point. That's 1.25 a game. Over the next 6, he'll get 7.5. Adding that to our 11 or
13 and a half.
13.5. We get a 20.8 sack total.
Oh, Eric might beat me. I took 20 and a half and Eric took 21.
Ooh,
So
what's Scott at there?
17.
Oh, Scott.
So I was calling Kayvon sacks. I was calling Kayvon.
Okay, if you're calling Kayvon sacks, you're in a good pace right
Hey,
there.
I'd be really happy with Kayvon with 17
yeah,
sacks.
if he gets 6 more sacks in the next
incredible.
5,
I think he can pull it
Hey,
off.
it can happen.
I think he can pull it off.
Scott, the last thing we had was total overtime games, which I can't give you the stat to right now.
Yeah.
But we all had in the teens or the 20s.
I want to see if we can find it. Let me see if I can find it.
I had 23. It seems like we've got over a dozen. We had 3 in 1 week a couple weeks ago.
We did.
Luigi, Ryan Loisel wants you to know that TJ Watt also has 13 and a half sacks.
Sorry, Ryan. I apologize. I do remember 3 people were tied for it. I just did not mention that.
Well, Myles Garrett actually only has 13.
Oh, all right. Well,
Watt
sorry. I had the wrong name. 20. I can only find the overtime rules.
That's all right.
I think that would be a hard stat to find.
That's like a tiebreaker at the end.
Well, Scott, the past 2 seasons we've had 20 and 21 games, and I think
that's why I took 23.
Probably on close pace to that.
Yeah.
If I do a deep dive, I could definitely find it.
That's all right. So I had MVP Saquon.
Yeah.
Might still have a chance there, Scott.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, I had Clancy from Tampa.
Oh, unfortunately.
And Richardson of the Colts bit the dust a few weeks ago.
That was a good one, though.
It was on pace early on.
For 6 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks. That was good.
Yeah. Yeah, Luigi and I took Bijan Robinson for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Ooh,
Likely not going to happen, but probably the second runner up there. MVP, I had Lamar. Luigi had Jalen Hurts. Those are 2 pretty good ones there. Zach had Justin Herbert. Unfortunate. Eric had Aaron Rodgers. And then, Scott, you had Saquon Barkley. So not ideal. Luigi, Niners Super Bowl champions as the prediction.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, so we're still in line, Scott. We're still in line. We still have 6 weeks left.
Yeah.
We have some time.
Things are in play. Things are in play.
Anything else, Scotty?
That's all I got, gentlemen.
Scott, stay on. I'm getting the count on overtime games.
Okie dokie.
All right, Scott, let's talk a little football while Luigi takes a look at that.
Got it.
Giants, great day, good football weather, as we mentioned. But obviously some bad football. But can Tommy DeVito be the backup of the Giants, or even a potential option as a starter? No, I don't think he'll be a starter in this league.
Well, here's the problem, though, Matt. Apparently, Tyrod's going to come off the injured list.
Okay, yes, this is the good question,
and be eligible for the Green Bay game on the 11th.
7 overtime games.
How many?
7. We're at a very low pace.
We're very low. We're very low here, Scott.
But there were 3 in 1 week, 2 weeks ago.
Yep. Still 7. Okay. There was 4 weeks without an overtime game.
So Daboll's going to have a decision. If Tyrod's ready to go, Giants fan will go nuts if he doesn't play DeVito. I think
you gotta stay with DeVito. There's no point in going to Tyrod.
He's got the hot hand.
Yeah, hot hand. Tyrod's this is his last year on the contract with the Giants. You're probably looking at getting another quarterback anyways, but Tommy DeVito's proven that he can be at least a semi-decent backup. And he takes care of the ball. He makes pretty good decisions with the ball. He's got a good arm, and
he has no legs.
Yeah, that's the only that's what you get with Tyrod when he comes in. So maybe they'll give Tyrod a look. I don't know. Tyrod's got to be completely healthy, obviously, and he'll come off the IR. And I guess, Scott, have we heard anything about Darren Waller? I know that's separate, but
haven't heard a word.
Right. There's been Bo Peep about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just keep throwing the ball at the Hyatt. He's got to get 5, 6, 7 targets a game and catch the ball 5 times. He's going to get 83 yards and a touchdown. So that's, use the guy. That's what he's there for. Stretch the legs, stretch the field.
Yeah.
Only so that you saw 2 passes down the sidelines. You guy can catch the ball.
Tommy DeVito with the throw of the week this week. That long pass to Jalen Hyatt with that nice over the shoulder ball. That was a great ball. 40-yard pass.
B16 Buff says trust in Ty God. Well, Juan from Middlebury says he'll start DeVito and go to Tyrod if it's a crap show. Yeah, I mean it's a good option to have if he's healthy.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
So yeah, let's go with Tommy boy.
Tommy boy.
I like it. I like the Jersey juice.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Luigi had a little Jersey juice on Sunday.
Well, we all had a little bit.
We all had a little Jersey juice on Sunday.
Yeah, the doctor prescribed it. It was all good.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. All right, Scotty. Well, it's been a pleasure. Boys. Thanks for coming on. We missed you.
As always,
really appreciate you.
As
always, absolutely. Had a blast.
Peace out, Scott. See you soon.
Bye, boys.
Great to have
Scott from D11. Missed him. I don't think maybe he was on in week 3, but it's been a lot of weeks. I know he had surgery in between that, but it's always great to have Scott back on here.
Absolutely.
All right, Luigi, let's dive into some football here. It's 8:07.
Yeah, baby.
15, 20 minutes before we dive into the picks for week 13. We started talking about Thanksgiving. We talked about the Lions and the Packers game. Cowboys and the Commies played at 4:30 East Coast Standard Time. Cowboys routed them 45-10. I mean, all 4 of us took the Cowboys. Kind of expected this. Cowboys are playing really well, obviously, against bad teams. But they have the Seahawks on Thursday night here this week. Probably a little bit more of a challenging game for them, but this team's kind of firing on all cylinders no matter what, it seems like, especially at home. They're undefeated at home this season.
Yeah, they're balling. This is the first time they'll play a team with a winning record, though, this coming week, and they're playing the Seahawks, so we'll see what actually happens. Seahawks team that's beaten and battered a little bit. So I'm very interested to see the outcome of that game and how the Cowboys pitch up. I'm not a huge fan of the Cowboys by any means. I've never believed in the Cowboys by any means in my lifetime. So I'd like to be proven wrong just for the sake of good football, but we'll see what happens here on Sunday. They did absolutely rout the Commanders, but I think a couple high school football teams could hold their own against the Commanders. Yeah, not legitimately. Not legitimate.
The Giants beat the Commanders, so some bad NFL football teams can rout the Commanders. Yeah, Cowboys seem to do this a lot, pretty much every season. Have
bad teams.
Murder bad teams.
Struggle with good ones.
Lose close to the good ones. Don't win in the playoffs.
Not even lose close.
I mean, they lost close to the Eagles. They had a chance to win, though, and they blew
49ers game when I was in Croatia.
Yeah. No, I know. You got to go back. You need to go back before the playoffs start.
We're winning again. We're on a 3-game win streak now.
You overcame those 3 games.
We did. All
right. 49ers Seahawks was the nightcap on Thanksgiving, 31-13 over the Seahawks. Impressive win, Luigi. Offense was looking good. Defense is holding them pretty well. I mean, it wasn't close, but it was closer than the final score shows, obviously, for the majority of the game.
Yep.
But a win nonetheless, and a win on the road in the 12th man area out there in Seattle.
Yeah, no, I mean, getting a win on the road against a division opponent at any time is always a good thing. And, I expect it to be close when we're playing them. Pete Carroll's always coached well, especially against Shanahan. Shanahan's been he's been Shanahan's kryptonite just in general. It's like one of the only coaches Shanahan doesn't have a winning record against right now. So, it was a good win for the Niners. Impressive. Everyone kind of got the ball. McCaffrey got back on track, had a couple of touchdowns here. It's just these tune-up. It was a tune-up game for what we got this week.
Yeah. Yeah, big game.
Big
game this week.
This obviously is the biggest game of the season.
Yes,
for
100%.
Any NFL. Anything, just in general.
Rob Shipper says the Cowboys have not won this year on grass. Turf dependent, ? Some are asking.
Turf dependent? Are they a great show on turf and a bad show on grass? It's good. It's good. It's a good thought. It's a good thought.
Good thought, Rob. Well, we won't find out this week because they're playing on turf again in Jerry World against the Seahawks on Thursday night. Last game, Black Friday, we kind of touched on Dolphins over the Jets, 34-13. This wasn't even really that good of a game, even though the Dolphins put up 34 points.
This is one of the 4 games I got to watch in total. So I watched, obviously, the totality of the Giants-Pats, the totality of the Niners-Seahawks, the entire, what was that game before? Commanders, Cowboys. And then, unfortunately, the fourth game that I watched, all of these games, I did not watch any good football this week. This Dolphins-Jets game was the worst. I will say it was very tough to watch the Giants-Pats, but at least it was two teams that were battling each other and battling themselves at the same time. The Dolphins and the Jets didn't know who to battle half of the time, especially the Jets, and that was just ugly performance by both teams. Even though, like you said, the Dolphins, they put up 34, but they had a defensive touchdown, which boosts their score there because of an errant halftime play. I don't know. Ugly.
The end of the first half had 3 interceptions in the last minute and 9 seconds.
Yeah, Tua didn't play well either.
No, he did not. I mean, this is a good Jets defense, but
it is.
They've made everybody kind of look pretty bad, but he did not play very well.
Yeah, but he had a terrible interception. Terrible interception in the first half. His first of the 2 in the first half that he threw. And it was just blatantly bad. He got jumped on an out route that he had no business throwing. It was to Braxton Berrios on the right side of the field. It was the Jets' pick 6.
Mm-hmm.
He had no business throwing that football.
Yeah. Bad decision. But yeah, they still have somehow put up 34 points and won by 21.
That's their defense. That's their offense. That's their offense, man.
They're explosive. Steelers Bengals, Ryan, 16-10. Matt Canada was fired last week, and it's a confirmed offensive terrorist. He will be captured by the Navy SEALs and will be interrogated for his crimes against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And they truly are crimes. It literally took a single week for them to break a streak that has been held since he's been the OC there.
58 games.
Yeah, just so pathetic.
They did not have over 400 total offensive yards.
Just so bad.
That's almost hard to do in this league based on the way some defenses play.
Eric Bieniemy can do it with anyone.
Yeah, he's putting up over 3,000 yards and leading the NFL in passing with Sam Howell.
He could do it with anyone. He could put up 400 yards in a game. Jeez, it's so bad. And you have first-round picks and second-round picks highlighting this offense everywhere. You'd think that you could pull off 400 yards in a single game. And you know what's screwy with this Steelers team? And a reason I still don't like them is that they put up 400 offensive yards and only had 16 points.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of field goals.
Against the Bengals.
3 field goals and a touchdown. Yeah, the and their defense played pretty well against that Bengals team. The defense is what's kind of carrying them. Like they're just
it's fully carrying them.
Keeps them in games every week.
If Joe Burrow played in this game, they would have been slaughtered despite putting up 400 yards. It's just bad. I should say a healthy Joe Burrow.
They still have a negative point differential and are 7-4 in the 5 seed in the playoffs with 2 pretty easy games coming up with the Cardinals and
they have an easy rest of their schedule. They have a really easy rest of their schedule.
Yeah, and an opportunity for the Ravens to sit everybody week 18 too.
Exactly. They have Cardinals, Pats, Colts, Bengals, Seahawks, Ravens. The last 2 weeks are the only competitive weeks that they could have. And like
Colts
you said,
might be competitive.
It could be. Actually, you're absolutely right. They're a feisty team, especially with how bad the Steelers' offense is. So you're right.
But
I don't know. They're gonna make the playoffs. They're gonna make the playoffs, and it's not gonna be a good playoff game to watch.
No, they'll probably lose.
Probably.
They will probably lose. All right. Ryan Loisel, he said they dropped. Well, he said we did it, boys. Yes, Ryan, we did it. We got 400 total offensive yards. We're becoming potentially an offense in the NFL. He said they dropped a touchdown and 4 punts inside Bengals territory. But still got to be better. But he said, but definitely need to score more points, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, if they have any chance of winning any games in the playoffs, they got to score more. It's incredible that they haven't scored more than 20 points and still win all these games.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. Jags beat the Texans 24-21 in a thriller. We missed this game because we were at the 1:00 legendary Giants Patriots matchup, but I did go back and watch the highlights of this game because Twitter was freaking out about the end of this game where Texans kicker Matt Amendola missed a 58-yard game-tying field goal off the crossbar. I mean, talk about game of inches, man. He could not have been closer to making this and just missed.
The ball just needs to be rotated in a different direction. That's legitimately the only way. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
If he put 1% extra or less power on it, he might have just gotten it there.
Yeah. This was a fun game. These are two good offenses, and the Jaguars are finally coming together a little bit and playing competitive. Competitive football. What am I saying? I mean, they're 8-3, but a couple of weeks ago with Liam Ford, we talked about how they can't seem to close out some of these games, and still another one-score win for them, which could have been an overtime game. But nonetheless, Jaguars are the 3 seed in the AFC playoff picture.
They have the same record as the Chiefs. They have the same record as the 49ers, and they have the same record as the Cowboys and the Lions, for that matter.
And the Dolphins. There's a lot of 8-3 teams.
There's a lot of good 8-3 teams that I think deserve 8-3, and then there's 2 8-3 teams that I don't. And the Jaguars are one of them, and just how they've been able to eke out wins in just the weakest possible schedule you could almost get. I don't believe in them. I think they're well-rounded, but I don't think they are good and well-rounded.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think they're going to they may win a wild card game because of the teams that are currently in the wild card picture, especially getting a home game. But when they run into a team like the Dolphins, even or the Chiefs or the Ravens, that's going to be a tough game to win for this team.
It will be. It absolutely will be. And something that I really didn't like to see was Trevor Lawrence's comments about CJ Stroud. I understand where he's coming from, and maybe I'm misconstruing.
I didn't see what he said.
My own thought. They asked him how does he feel about CJ Stroud being in the AFC South with him, and like they mentioned, he's been great and he's likely going to be around for a long time. And Trevor Lawrence was like, to be honest, I don't want him in the AFC South. Like, I want it to be easy. Like, I want to be able to win all of these games. I don't want to have to deal with him. And now, yes, can the media and as well as myself misconstrue messages to the thought that we have in our head where I'm thinking Trevor Lawrence only wants the easy way out? Yes, that's very possible. He could very well just mean it as a joke, just a good way to interact with the media. But I don't like that response because what a winner, an absolute true winner, a Tom Brady response would be, I love how he's in my division. I want to compete with the best of the best as much as I possibly can. He will only strive to make me a better football player. That is the response you give Trevor Lawrence, not the stuff you said, my man. So I have
fair enough.
I don't know if I trust him as my general at battle.
Yeah, we'll see. Ryan Loisel doesn't like Trevor Lawrence very much.
No?
Primarily because of, he might type about this in the chat, but primarily because of the prospect that he was supposed to be and what he's become. I think I tell Ryan every week he's still good, but I do agree with Ryan that, we thought he was going to be this next legendary prospect, one of the greatest ever, and he really has not been that. And he's been good enough. Obviously, they're 8-3. He's a good quarterback in this NFL and will be for a long time. But yeah, he just has not panned out to what he was supposed to be in terms of a prospect. Yeah, Mr. Lang is in the chat. Hello, friends. Mr. Lang, it is 8:20. You're a little late here today, a little tardy, but don't worry. We won't mark you late here today because we still have some stuff to get through. Ryan says overrated. I assume that's in relation to Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely.
He's 16 buff, and the Bills should be 8-3. Rob Shipper says if Josh Allen wasn't flat to start the year, they would be 8-3. That's a good point. A lot of turnovers early on in the year where they didn't play very well. But they could have also lost to the Giants. So,
yeah.
So, interesting stuff.
Rob Shipper's keeping his receipts. Oh, no.
He's keeping his receipts. And I saw Rob at work, obviously, this week. He mentioned that. I said, you got to comment it because, Luigi, this is the week where the 49ers travel out to Lincoln Financial Field in Philly and play the Eagles, who you were terrified of at 8:06 on November 1st.
4 weeks ago exactly. All right. Can we be honest, Rob? Look where I was 4 weeks ago. The 49ers have won 3 in a row now. But 4 weeks ago, they had just lost 2 in a row. They were on the verge of losing a third in a row. Actually, no. 4 weeks ago, they had just lost 3 in a row because there was a bye in between all of this. Rob, think of where I was mentally. Okay? My team was on a 3-game bum streak against 3 teams that did not deserve to beat us. And the Eagles were on their tear. I am still not thrilled to have to play the Eagles. I'm excited to see the best team, the number 1 team versus the number 2 team in the NFL, however you want to put whoever first, but I think they are the 2 best teams. And you're right. Rob, you probably should be scared. The Niners have been looking absolutely disgusting the last 3 weeks. They've really gotten back on track, and Lane Johnson might be out, which will kill you with this pass rush that we've put together over the last 5 weeks since we've acquired Mr. Chase Young. Our defense has been absolutely bonkers good, and Nick Bosa on top of that in the last 3 weeks has 5.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery, 2 pass deflections, and like 7 or 8 tackles for a loss. He just needed his running mate out there with him to kind of wreak havoc. And, it's been crazy. You know what though, Rob? I'm just so, don't say that to me. I certainly don't want it coming down to a Moody game winner situation.
We've seen that before.
We've seen how that turns out. No, listen, I'm so excited for us to play and watch this game. I think, like I said, this should be the best football game of the year. You'll get my prediction eventually.
All right.
I think you know where that's leaning, though.
Yeah, we can make some assumptions. Rob Schiffer says Jake Elliott could kick a ball to the moon in a blizzard. That's good. He's insane. I mean, he's been killing the Giants since day one of being in the organization with the Eagles. He kills every team. He gave the Eagles an opportunity to tie the game, to go into overtime against the Bills with 25 seconds left from 59 yards out. He's a beast, yeah. But this Eagles 49ers game probably is the game of the year so far, and it means a lot in the NFC because of where the 2 teams are. The 49ers are 2 games back from the Eagles right now, the 1 and the 2 seeds in the NFC, and it's going to mean a lot because only the 1 seed gets the bye, and only the 1 seed gets home field advantage guaranteed throughout the duration of the playoffs. So we will see.
It's huge. It's a huge game. My worry in terms of the 1 seed is even if the 49ers do go out and win this game, I don't know if the Eagles will be able to lose another for the rest of the season.
Yeah, let's talk about that in a second because we do have the playoff pictures up here. But one final thing in our topics of talk, Broncos country. Let's ride.
They're riding, baby.
Broncos country is riding with 5 straight wins. They had a win this past week over the Cleveland Browns, 29-12 in Denver. Russell Wilson says that they just have to believe, and they are clearly believing. And I wish we had Zach Small on right now because this team started 1-5, and this team is now 6-5. 5 straight wins. Not the prettiest wins, obviously, but it's hard to win in the NFL. And Sean Payton, when they were 1-5, they had an opportunity, or maybe even 2-5. They might have gotten one more win before we reached the trade deadline. But Sean Payton, there was a lot of rumors circling around the Broncos franchise. Would they trade Jerry Jeudy? Would they trade Cortland Sutton? Javonte Williams was a name potentially. Even Pat Surtain was getting thrown into that question mark. Arguably the best cornerback in the league in his 3rd season with the Broncos. Potential cornerstone on defense for years to come. Would the Broncos sell? And they didn't end up selling anybody. And they were 1-5 or 2-5 at the time. And you kind of look at that team and it's like, what are you doing? Are you really going to try to win here? And hindsight's obviously 2020, and the Broncos are winning games and have won 5 straight since. So Sean Payton bet on his guys that he had in the locker room since training camp, and they have clearly made an impact and a difference for this franchise. And the Broncos
I heard Sean Payton betting his guys. Last time he did that, he got in trouble.
I mean, he has done that before. And he did get in trouble, but he bet on his guys in a more tame and reasonable and legal way this year, where he just didn't trade any of them. but they're riding. Scott Merrifield says, Scott from D11 says, is Zach hogging the nitrous? Yeah, I think he is. He's hogging all the gas that the other NFL teams want there, Scott. They have been playing well and have an opportunity to make the playoffs here in a pretty loaded AFC card.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
I mean, their schedule's not super easy, but they have some games in there that are definitely winnable. And yeah, let's run through the playoff pictures.
I like it.
Let's see. Oh, you responded to Lang here. The Brockness monster will cement his status this Sunday. 30-21 49ers over the Eagles. Denver beats Houston this week, and their playoff odds shoot to like 60%. Yeah,
I mean, they're fighting for that 7 seed in the same regard. And the Bills with the 6-6 record, it bumps you to the top of that list. The Colts are the other straggler there.
Yeah, let's hop into the playoff picture here. Let's go to the AFC first. We talked a little bit about the Jaguars position, the Steelers position, and the Colts position. But starting off at the number 1 seed right now, we have the Baltimore Ravens at 9-3 playing super well. They're on bye this week. Luigi, I wasn't sure how you wanted to go through this. Do you want to go through each game and kind of see how many wins we have left here for the Ravens?
Let's go one by one. We got to do our best because a lot of these teams play almost all of these teams are playing each other. So we need to do our best to track wins and losses. I think I'll highlight green for a win and red for a loss, but I think we could try to unanimously do this. I say we read the team, their current record, and we'll go through their teams that they play in the next couple of weeks. We'll give you their record, and then we'll try to refigure the playoff picture at the end of it all. Let's see if we can do this in a smart manner here.
All right, perfect. Let's go with the Ravens first. 9-3. Ravens are playing some good football. This week they have a bye, as we mentioned. Next week they are at home against the Rams at 1:00. Going to give them a win there.
Yep, already marked it green.
Then they have the Jaguars on the road.
That's a tricky one, and the Jaguars have a tough road ahead too. It is Sunday Night Football. I like Lamar over Trevor Lawrence. I think that Lamar really wants this 1 seed as well as an MVP run. I'm going to go with the Ravens.
Yeah, I'll give them a win there too. So 2 wins. On the road on Christmas Day in San Fran against the 49ers. It's the nightcap game. I'm going to give them a loss here.
I 100% am giving them a loss.
Yeah, let's give them a loss. New Year's Day against the Ravens, or the Ravens against the Dolphins. This is a tricky one. This is going to be an important contest.
Where are we here, Matt?
They are at Baltimore.
At Baltimore, I'm going to give them a win. I think that they have enough secondary help with Kyle Hamilton and Marlon Humphrey that they will take care of that speedy wide receiver duo. I think they'll be the first to break the Dolphins wide receivers this whole season and the only ones that will do it.
Scott wants the NFL music for this. I think it deems possible because
it's deemed picture. Possible.
We're handing out wins here. All right. So they have they're 3-1 in these last final games here. Final game of the season at home against the Steelers, who they already lost to. I think they get a win here if they need it.
I think that they will need it because I think that the team right behind them is not going to make this easy on them because the team behind them has one of the easiest remaining schedules. I am going to say that the Steelers game is a win for the Ravens. The Ravens have a predicted 13-4 record to finish the year.
All right. Chiefs are the 2 seed. Chiefs are 8-3. Chiefs, as Lang said in the chat, he said Chiefs 1 seed should be a cakewalk.
Now, I think we could speed run these teams. They play the Packers, dub.
Win.
They play the Bills, dub.
Win.
They play the Raiders, dub.
Win.
They play the Bengals, dub. They play the Chargers. I think it's a dub. I think the Chiefs win out and they finish their season. Unfortunately for the Ravens, 14-3.
They also play the Patriots in there. Another win.
Oh, did I not mention the Patriots? I might have been moving too fast. My bad. Well, they will win their next 6 games and improve to 14-3, winning the 1 seed.
Do they win all those games?
I think so. I really think so.
All right.
Do you have any opposition?
No, I mean, I think the only game that might give them a tough battle is the Bills. I think they can handle all the rest. And yeah, I'll give it to them for that. Chiefs 1 seed. Jags 8-3. They got the Bengals at home this week.
That's a dub.
Browns on the road should be a win if they are a good team. But it might not be.
I think in Cleveland they win.
Feels like a trap.
Or I think in Cleveland they lose is what I'm saying. I think it's a trap game right after Bengals.
They play the Ravens that following week.
We already deemed the Ravens the winners.
Champions there. They are at the Bucks the following week. I think they win that game.
I agree.
Should. Panthers following week, that's a win. And the Titans in the last week.
Yep, I'd say those are 2 wins to finish off the season. And I predict, as well as Matthew, we have a 12-5 Jaguars team.
All right. Let's see. What's remaining here? The Steelers. We talked about the Steelers. We touched on. Next 2 weeks, Cardinals and Patriots. Those are wins here.
Yep, I like it.
9-4. Colts the following week.
I think that's a loss.
I think
where
that's
is
a
it?
loss
Do we know where it is? Oh, you agree with the loss. We're good.
No, I think that's still a loss regardless. I mean, it will be helpful to know where it is. It is at Indianapolis. Should be a loss.
I agree.
Bengals at the Steelers.
Bengals at the Steelers. I think they just took care of business in Cincinnati. They will do so again.
Steelers at the Seahawks.
I don't have much faith in the Seahawks right at this current juncture.
I don't, but I don't know if I have much faith in the Steelers on the road.
I'll let you pick
Seattle.
this one. You tell me.
I'm going to take Seattle.
Taking
Seattle needs this win to make the playoffs still.
All right. That'll put the Steelers at a 10-7 record. A classic Mike Tomlin.
Classic.
10-7.
Classic.
Skipped over the Dolphins.
We did skip over the Dolphins. What are we doing here?
That's
Commanders,
okay.
Titans, and Jets.
Win.
Now, their back half of the season is very challenging.
Oh, it is.
Cowboys. Now, this all comes down to if it's in Miami or not for all these games, obviously.
Can we find out if the Miami game is in Dallas?
It is in Miami.
I'm giving them a win.
I
think home field advantage, whoever was getting that game at home wins. What do you think?
No, I agree.
All right.
Give them a win. And then we gave them a loss against the Ravens.
Yep.
And then Bills at home in Miami. They already lost to the Bills. I think they split.
I agree that they split.
So what are they finishing out here?
They're going to finish out at 13-4 with a projected 3 seed in the AFC.
I think that makes sense.
I do too. That drops the Jags to the 4 seed at 12-5. Currently, the Steelers are at 10-7 with the 5th seed. That could change with our last couple of guys here. Let's go, Matt. Let's see it.
Browns schedule. Browns are 7-4. Browns are still somehow in it with Dorian Thompson-Robinson as their quarterback, and PJ Walker got a little bit of time last week. Browns at the Rams.
They need to win this game. The Rams offense looked pretty good last week, but they are playing the number 1 defense in the Browns. I think it's a win for the Browns.
Yeah, let's give the Browns a win here. Jaguars at the Browns.
We picked up a win here when we did the Jags schedule.
Got another win.
A W.
Oh, Lord. They have the Bears the following week.
I'm taking them over the Bears.
Texans on the road.
That's a loss. Texans are going to be hungry.
Jets in Cleveland.
Jets in Cleveland. Give me a win.
Aaron Rodgers will be playing.
Aaron Rodgers will be there. We didn't even consider.
Give him a loss.
Give him a loss. We'll give him a loss because Rodgers will be back.
And then the final week at the Bengals.
I say they come home with a dub.
Does that put them in the playoffs?
Oh, yes, sir, it does. They all will be jumping into the 5 spot with an 11-6 record.
I think we said one, that time period where all 4 of the AFC North teams were in it. We said one would drop out. We thought it would be the Steelers, but because of the Bengals being as bad as they are with no Joe Burrow, it is the Bengals who drop out.
It is.
The Colts against the Titans.
I think this is a sneaky game.
This is a sneaky trap. It's at Tennessee.
I think Tennessee pulls it off for no reason.
All right.
What do you think?
Yeah, we can give them
cool with that?
There. Yeah.
All right.
All right, so at the Colts, or at the Titans with a win there. Colts at the Bengals. Do they win 2 road games in a row?
They do. They will take care of business in Cincinnati.
Steelers at the Colts. We gave the Colts the win here.
We gave the Colts the win. They pulled it off. Uh-oh.
Colts at the Falcons. I feel like they lose this game.
I was going to say the same.
Raiders at the Colts.
Raiders at the Colts. I think that the Raiders are going to lose this game.
And then Texans at the Colts.
I think the Texans pull it off in Week 18 because that will allow the Texans to possibly jump the Colts when we break down the next record on the board here. So this moves the Colts to a 9-8 record. Let's go to the in the hunt teams. Matthew?
The in the hunt Texans hosting the Broncos.
It's must-win territory.
It's must-win territory here.
I'm liking how this – I just think that the Texans team will overpower the Broncos in this one. I like the Broncos and what they've been doing. I think their streak dies with C.J. Stroud.
Okay.
What are you thinking?
I believe so, too. I think 6 wins is too much. We can take the Texans. Texans at the Jets. Going to take the Texans.
Yep.
Texans at the Titans.
That's a dub.
Texans hosting the Browns.
We gave the Browns the win.
Okay.
No.
That makes sense.
No, we gave the Texans the win here. Okay.
Texans, Titans again.
I'm going to say that they're going to beat the Titans. And we gave them the Colts win. The Texans. No. All right.
This is unbelievable. 6-0.
They're going to drop one to the Titans. I don't think that's where they lose a game necessarily. But
they still end up at 11-6, though.
They're going to end up at 11-6.
Highly doubt that.
Which pushes them into the 6th seed in the playoff.
We have the entire AFC playoff picture with over 10 wins
that
right
up.
now.
We're switching it up. We're switching it up. Broncos win this week.
All right.
10-7 Texans. They have the 7th seed in the current moment in time.
All right. The Broncos have a chance. I don't think they'll make the playoffs with the rest of this schedule, just looking at it.
No, I don't think so either.
So I think we kind of skip over them. And then the Bills. Holy cow. Chiefs, Cowboys, Chargers, Patriots, Dolphins. They're not making the playoffs either, unfortunately.
I don't think they're making the playoffs, unfortunately, either.
All right, so we can quickly move to the NFC playoff picture before we get into our Week 13 picks. Eagles, the 1 seed, 10-1, hosting the 49ers this week.
I don't know what to say here. I really think that the Niners pull this one off, but you know what? I'll let your unbiased opinion sway us on this one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers pull this one off. Eagles are playing good enough football. They haven't really run into a buzzsaw of a team yet like the 49ers. But for my own selfish reasons, as we texted about this week, if the Giants have any chance of making the playoffs, they need to beat the 49ers or the Eagles.
All right, so this is not an unbiased opinion by you either.
It's not unbiased.
All right, here,
it's like a coin flip.
Yep, I was just gonna say, heads is Niners, tails is Eagles. Siri, flip a coin. Siri, flip a coin.
We know you're challenged.
It's heads.
All right.
Eagles pull off the win.
Eagles pull off the win to Luigi's demise. At the Cowboys. Cowboys already lost. Feel like they get a win here.
All right.
So Eagles lose one. Eagles at the Seahawks.
We're just going to go ahead and just green this whole streak. I think it's a dub against the Seahawks. I think it's a dub against the Giants. I think it's a dub against the Cardinals. And then I think they pull it back in with a loss to the Giants week 18 because they will be sitting their starters because they will have locked in the 1 seed.
Yeah. So they end up at 14-3. Same record as last year, right?
Yes, sir.
And an opportunity as the 1 seed. Eagles loss again, 49ers lose against the Eagles. 49ers against the Seahawks at home.
It's a win for my book. You see what I just did?
Greened it all.
I greened it all, baby.
Wow. I mean, yeah.
Listen, we gave them okay. So they play the Seahawks. I think they get a win at home versus Seattle. They play the Cardinals. I think they beat the Cardinals. The Ravens, we gave them a win earlier. The Commanders, come on. And then the Rams finish it off week 18. I think those are pretty self-explanatory there, Matt.
No, I agree.
Niners finishing at the 2 seed, 13-4.
And we had them at 13-4 in our preseason predictions.
And they were 13-4 last year.
Lions, the 3 seed, 8-3. Lions at the Saints this week. Lions need to bounce back here.
I agree, and that's why I'm going to say that they win against the Saints.
Lions at the Bears. Lions need to win this game too.
Too easy.
Broncos at the Lions.
We gave them a win.
Yes, we did. Lions at the Vikings.
At the Vikings, they're going to take a loss.
Lions at the Cowboys.
I think they take another loss.
And Vikings at the Lions.
And then they finish it off week 18 with a nice win at home.
So they still win the division.
They still win the division.
At 12-5.
12-5. I like that record for the Lions. I really do.
It's a good record. 4-seeded Falcons. Holy cow. This NFC South is atrocious. They're 5-6 right now. They play the Jets this week.
Yep. I think they pull off a win against the Jets.
I agree. I'm trying to pull up their schedule here. Falcons at home against the Buccaneers.
I'm going to give them a loss against the Bucs.
Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. Should be a win.
I give them a win. We also gave them a win for the week 16 game or week 15 game against the Colts.
Falcons at the Bears.
I think
maybe Sneaky Bears win.
Sneaky Bears win. I'm cool with it. Sneaky Bears win.
And then for probably the NFC South at
for
the
Saints. NFC South at the Saints is a loss in my book.
All right. Yeah, they just
beat
them this past week.
8-9 record.
Holy. Classic. Yeah, somebody's going to be 8-9. Make the playoffs. Cowboys at the Seahawks. Or, no, at home against the Seahawks.
At home against the Seahawks, I'll give them a win in that one.
All right.
Then we have them beating the Eagles.
Yes, correct. Beating the Eagles, they play the Bills on the road.
I think
Sneaky Bills win.
Yeah, I think a Sneaky Bills win here.
Cowboys at the Dolphins.
We have the Dolphins winning this game.
Lions at the Cowboys.
We have the Cowboys winning this game.
Cowboys at the Commanders.
I think they finish off with 2 nice wins.
And they finish 12-5 as our preseason prediction predicted.
Oh, something tells me we're getting good at this, man.
We're getting good at this.
We're getting pretty good at doing this, man.
We may have been doing this for a while.
We might have been.
Seahawks.
Well, unfortunately, the first 3 teams they play, we have all selected the games for them. It is 3 straight losses.
I mean, that's crazy. Seahawks are 6-5, and in 3 weeks they could possibly be 6-8.
They can, but I think they'll bounce back and be 7-8 after they beat the Titans after that rough streak.
And they should beat the Steelers as well.
We gave them a win against the Steelers.
And they should beat the Cardinals.
And they beat the Cardinals to round out the year at 9-8.
The playoff team.
Playoff team.
We had them at 9-8 in the prediction.
Oh my God, we're getting real good at this, huh?
Vikings. We did not have the Vikings in the playoffs.
We did not. That is certainly not something we had.
We had the New York Football Giants, who still have a good chance about making it. We'll see. Vikings have a bye. They should win that one. Raiders. Who do we give to that? Do we give the Raiders the game? Matters who's at home here.
Yeah, tell me who's at home here.
Raiders are at home.
It's a loss for the Vikes.
Interesting. Vikings at the Bengals. I feel like they could win this game.
They could win this game for sure.
Now, they played the Lions twice in the last 2 weeks. We gave them the win at home.
Win at home and a loss away.
And a loss away in the last week. And then they played the Packers, which could be a very monumental game in the playoff picture.
And I love to see Jordan Love win this football game.
In Minnesota. Sunday night football.
I think they get it done. What do you think?
New Year's Eve. I think so.
All right. That lands the Vikings with an 8-9 record. Oh, my God. There might be 2 8-9 teams in the playoffs.
It's plausible. It's very plausible. Packers in the hunt, 5-6. They played the Chiefs.
We gave them a loss.
They played the New York Football Giants after a bye at home on Monday Night Football. I'm biased. I can't make this pick.
I don't see the Giants winning this game.
Oh, that's terrible, Luigi.
I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry. I watched them for 4 quarters. I don't think I could watch anymore.
They were pretty exciting.
No, they weren't.
Buccaneers.
I say that's a win, too.
Yeah, I think the Packers can win that game. Panthers should win that game.
Panthers. And then they beat the Vikings, and then they get the Bears.
No way.
The Packers go on a 5-game heater and come out at 10-7. Oh, that makes them a playoff team.
Wow.
Imagine. Wow.
This will be funny to look back on in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited to look back at
I don't think the Rams are making the playoffs. I don't really feel like predicting them. They're all
right, then we'll just do the Saints because they're more plausible.
Yeah, Saints are plausible. Well, they just got to win the division. Lions, we gave them a loss.
Yep.
Panthers, they need to beat.
I say they got to win.
Giants, they should win that game.
All right.
Rams.
They should also win that game, but I'm thinking they're going to lose.
I think they're going to lose that game.
Yep, I think they're going to lose it.
And then 2 divisional games to round it out. We gave the Falcons the win in the last one, and they have the Buccaneers in Week 17. So with the Bucs win, they tie the Saints at 8-9.
Or they tie the Falcons at 8-9.
The Falcons, the Saints tie the Falcons if they were to win against the Buccaneers.
I say they're going to end the year with 2 wins. Dennis Allen's going to keep his job and make the playoffs.
Oh no, I'm sorry. We gave the Falcons the win over the Saints in Week 18.
Oh,
so really, we can be changed, but it comes down to who's winning the NFC South.
It means that the Falcons will be winning the AFC South.
Oh, no, I don't think. No, we can't do that. We predicted the Saints. Saints got to win here.
Okay. All right.
No. Well, if the Falcons. No, I think that makes sense because I think the Falcons won't sweep the Saints, even as bad as they have been. 4-2, though, doesn't sound very plausible for the Saints.
Oh, absolutely not.
All right, whatever. We'll look back at this in a couple weeks and see how we're doing. But this is the playoff picture.
They would be Matt. They would be 10-7. No shot. So
they go 4-2.
The PFR playoff predictions. Right now, we would have the Chiefs finishing with the bye in the AFC, the Ravens in the 2 seed, the Dolphins in the 3 seed, the Jaguars at the 4 seed, the Browns at the 5 seed, Steelers at the 6 seed. No, sorry. The Texans at the 6 seed, and then rounding it off, the Pittsburgh Pittsburgh Steelers and Texans tied at 6th or 7th. And then in the NFC playoff picture, a lot easier one to read. The Eagles in the 1 seed get the bye, the 49ers in the 2, the Lions in the 3, the Falcons in the 4, or the Saints in the 4, sorry. followed by the Cowboys in the 5, the Packers in the 6 with a 10-7 record, and then the Seahawks getting the 7th seed, playing the 49ers for a third time this year at 9-8.
Packers playing the Lions for the 4th time this year as well. The 3 versus the 6.
Wow.
And the Saints and the Cowboys battling in New Orleans.
Honestly, I could very much see that being the NFC playoff picture.
I do.
Maybe the Seahawks at 6 and the Packers at 7, but I think that might be the playoff picture.
I mean, the Vikings don't have the easiest schedule here.
They do
like
not.
They could definitely lose some of these games. So, yeah, that's exciting. All right, we're close, man. We're 6 games away.
Whew.
This is an exciting time. All right, let's get into the Week 13 picks for the picks that matter this week. Luigi, I 3 games this week, baby. I got 3 games back.
I know you did. That's insane.
You
That's
are 115 and
insane to me.
65. I am 1 game back now at 114 and 66 after being 4 games back for like 8 weeks straight. So that's huge. Harkins is 8 games back at 107 and 73. Zach is 104 and 76. Zach still needs to make up 11 games here. Thursday Night Football, 8:15. Seahawks 6-5 at the Cowboys, 8-3, 8.5-point favorites to the Dallas Cowboys. We took the Cowboys in those predictions there. I'll take the Cowboys again here. Give me Dallas.
I too will take Dallas.
1 o'clock. Broncos 6-5 at the Texans, 6-5. 3-point favorites to the Texans. Massive game in the AFC playoff picture. Oh, this is tough, man. I think the Broncos have done a great job so far. Texans now coming off a loss at home again. I'm going to take the Texans.
I'm going to go with Houston as well here.
Houston for us. 1 o'clock. Cardinals 2-10 at the Steelers, 7-4. 5.5-point favorites to the Steelers. Steelers are going to get another win here probably with that defense, especially being at home. Give me the Steelers.
I'm going to take the Steelers as well.
1 o'clock. Chargers 4-7, 6-point favorites at the New England Patriots, 2-9. Chargers, Brandon Staley's fighting for his job. I guess so is Belichick at this point, which is pretty crazy to say. Patriots have not been good. They don't know who their starting quarterback is going to be this weekend. I'm going to take the Chargers.
Absolutely taking the Chargers. Today, the Patriots are so bad. So bad. Incredibly bad.
We saw it in person. 1 o'clock, Colts 6-5, 1-point favorites at the Titans, 4-7. The Colts want a playoff seed here. They need to win this game. I'm taking the Colts.
I'm going to go with the Colts as well. I agree for the same reasons. The Titans have been lackluster, and the Colts are fighting for it.
Next game, 1 o'clock, Dolphins 8-3, 9.5-point favorites at the Commanders, 4-8. Dolphins should win this game.
Absolutely. Miami will obliterate the commies.
1 o'clock, Falcons 5-6, 2.5-point favorites at the New York Jets, 4-7. This is an ugly contest. I can't get the Falcons games right. We both lost the Saints this week, picking them over the Falcons. Do I separate here with the Jets? I don't want to. Do you take the Jets?
I'm taking the Jets because I'm still never Atlanta.
I mean, I want to be.
I don't want that separation to be the reason I lose, though.
If you're going to separate here, I'm going to have to take Atlanta.
No, I can't take the Jets there. I can't. I can't. Because you know what? There's no reason the Falcons should lose this game. There's no reason.
There's zero reason.
There's no reason. You know what? Give me Atlanta. Going back on my pick.
Arthur Smith needs to save his job with this game. 1 o'clock, Lions 8-3, 4-point favorites at the Saints, 5-6. Detroit needs a bounce back here. Bad loss. Dan Campbell agreed that he shouldn't have gone for it on 4th down as many times as he did. They're going to get back to a sound game plan and go for it when they actually should. So I'm going to take the Detroit Lions.
I will also be taking Detroit here for the same reasons. They need a big bounce back. You can't be losing like that on Thanksgiving.
4:05, Panthers 1-10 at the Bucks, 4-7, 5.5-point favorites to the Bucks, who the Panthers have a little bit of juice after finding their head coach. I don't think as much juice as the Raiders, because the Raiders hated their head coach. I don't think the Panthers hated Frank Reich. I just think their owner is an idiot. I'm going to take the Bucks.
Going with the Bucks as well here.
4:25, 49ers 8-3, 2.5-point favorites at the Eagles, 10-1. This is going to be my separation pick this week. I hate the Eagles, but
I'm absolutely okay losing my winning record with
right,
the 49ers
exactly.
if I do. That's fine by me. I'll be picking the Niners.
425 Browns, 7-4 at the Rams, 5-6, 3.5-point favorites to the Rams. Luigi's got a pick on the board.
I do. I'm going with Cleveland. We gave them a win here when we did our picks, and I'm going to stand on that.
Okay. I'm going to separate.
Okay.
I'm going to take the Rams.
Fine.
I'm going to see what the Rams can do here. Just to separate.
Yeah, no, I don't like Dorian Thompson-Robinson, honestly, but
I don't love him.
I just hate how
that defense
Rams have been playing. I mean, Kyron Williams had a great game, but
it's going to be harder to run against that defense.
Exactly.
Sunday Night Football, 8:20, Chiefs 8-3, 6-point favorites at the Green Bay Packers. Give me the Chiefs.
Give me the Chiefs as well.
And then final game of the week, Monday Night Football, Bengals 5-6 at the Jaguars, 8-3, 8.5-point favorites to Jacksonville. Jacksonville needs, to staple their spot in the AFC playoffs. Give me Jacksonville.
I'm taking Jacksonville as well. There's literally no reason. This should have been a fun game. Unfortunately, Bo Giro's hurt, so we're not going to be seeing that fun of a game.
Poor Bo Giro. Buys this week. Those are the picks for Week 13. Buys this week: the New York Giants, the Ravens, the Bills, the Bears, the Vikings, and the Raiders. So 6 teams on buys. You're only getting 13 games this week, but a lot of games that matter.
Don't worry, guys. Next week, the Cardinals and the Commanders are on a bye. You don't have to watch 2 of the worst football teams play.
Excellent. Thumbs up to that. All right, well, it has been Phire Football Radio. Myself, Matt McGrath, alongside Luigi Coppola, and thank you to Scott from D11 for tuning in. Thank you to everyone who was available in the chat and who listened in. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week when the playoff picture matters even more. Good luck.
Peace.